Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. It's great talking to you today.
Great to be with you.
What can you tell us about the Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act? Why is this piece of legislation needed, in your opinion?
Well, since 1999, the VA has routinely passed on names to the FBI for inclusion on the National Instant Criminal Background Check. These are veterans who, for a number of reasons, are assigned fiduciaries to handle their finances, to handle those disability checks. And by what the VA has interpreted the letter of the law, they're required when they assign fiduciaries to then take away their Second Amendment right. I remind you, these are individuals that have not been deemed a danger to themselves or to have mental deficiencies. They just weren't in a position to handle their finances. So in that process since 1999, 114,000 veterans in our country have lost their right to own firearms. And because they lose that right, so does the right of any individual that lives in their house. Now, when you put that in contrast to the Social Security system that has over 7.6 million people assigned fiduciaries, and they have never passed a name on for inclusion on the NICS list.
Really? So what's the? Why is the reason for the double standard? What's the official reason for the double standard?
The official reason is the interpretation by the Veterans Administration, which is totally different than the interpretation by Social Security.
Wow. So really, individuals who were talking about the same thing, appointed a fiduciary to handle financial affairs. If it happens through Social Security, your Second Amendment rights are still intact. But if it happens through the VA, your Second Amendment rights are stripped?
That's exactly right. Just by assigning a fiduciary, it's a fiduciary is meant to determine one's financial responsibility rather than to make a determination as to whether somebody is a danger to himself or herself. And in this particular case, the blurred lines between those two aren't even acknowledged from the VA.
So what would the bill do? Would it simply put the VA on the same footing as the Social Security Administration in terms of this determination?
We go a little bit further because of where the VA has made their interpretation. We actually would amend Title 38 to stipulate that in any case arising out of the administration of benefits by the VA, a veteran, surviving spouse, or child who is mentally capacitated, deemed mentally incompetent, or experiencing any extended loss of consciousness shall not be considered to be adjudicated as mentally defective for the purposes of inclusion on the NICS list without first having a judge or a magistrate or a judicial authority determine the competence of that individual.
Okay. And now how many veterans do you think could be impacted by what the VA is doing right now?
Well, what alarms me now is we've got a tremendous amount of OEF and OIF veterans who will come out, especially as we draw down our forces in Afghanistan and Iraq. Many who will be assigned fiduciaries to take care of their finances. Maybe it's because of a physical limitation that they've got. These kids, in this case, will lose their Second Amendment right if we don't change this before their separation.
Oh, really? So, this is something that we've got to really act on.
These are individuals that could be disabled and be active duty troops today. But all of a sudden, when they go within the VA, under the VA authority, could be assigned a fiduciary and their name sent to the FBI for inclusion on the next list, and they would lose that Second Amendment privilege.
So where is the bill right now, Senator?
The bill's been moved out of committee, and we're patiently waiting for action on the floor of the United States Senate. It's my hope that Senator Reid will see the merits of this. We have 18 co-sponsors. We have companion legislation in the House of Representatives. And if it doesn't happen soon, it'll be the amendment to every piece of legislation that leaves the United States Senate.
And this is a bipartisan bill. I know that your other co-sponsor on this, Senator Webb from Virginia, right?
He is, and I think the rights of the American people are a bipartisan issue. Absolutely. And I think no matter where you go in the country, there's a large segment of America that says the Second Amendment is something we want to protect. We want to protect it for everybody, including veterans.
Well, Senator, again, I appreciate you coming on the program, sir, and we'll be following this bill as it moves through Congress. Thank you again for your time, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Look forward to it when it's passed.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Senator Richard Burr joining us from North Carolina here on NRAnews.com and SiriusXM Patriot.